On this episode of RPG Book Club, knowledge is power. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddie Webbin.
And today we'll be playing part 1 of Chapter 3 of Legend of Dragoon, Fate in Soul, stopping when we enter the Forbidden Land. But before we get to all of that, how is everyone's week?
I'm so tired. I just got back from vacation with my family, which is why I wasn't here for the last episode. And I mean, I suppose I could have taken my microphone, and I could have plugged it in with my laptop, and I could have hidden in my family bedroom for 2 hours and recorded.
No way, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It was just for Shuggy, the Christmas elf. It's no big deal.
My parents live in West Virginia, so I got to go to the land of Fallout 76.
Nice.
And
did you get radiation poisoning?
No, thankfully that hasn't happened yet. Because It's not the year 2076.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did your life crash to desktop?
No, but it was surprisingly devoid of NPCs, and my base did get overridden when someone else hopped into my game.
Also, did all of your canvas bags turn into cheap nylon?
He gets off the plane and it comes through the baggage and he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, and then the airport gave me five whole dollars to make up for it.
Was it just a huge disappointment overall?
No, real West Virginia is great. I have not played Fallout 76 yet, but I'm very I have a lot of anxiety about it because it's apparently still kind of a buggy mess.
Yeah.
I mean, anxiety is not the right word, but I'm super fucking tired and I can't think of right words.
It's okay. I've made a profession out of not knowing the right words.
I'm having an existential crisis because it's one of 2 games that takes place in West Virginia, and the only one of those 2 games that isn't a horror game. And so, I feel like I should be playing it. Silent Hill.
Oh, I
thought that took place in Silent Hill. I'm kidding.
I was under the impression that Silent Hill was in West Virginia. I don't know. Maybe someone told me wrong.
It probably is. I was just being like, oh, I thought blah 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 was in blah blah blah. But
I love horror games in theory, but I'm horrendously uneducated about them. So I haven't even played a single Silent Hill, which is yeah.
Yeah, I like watching horror movies, and I like watching people play horror games because I like seeing their reactions. I don't like playing horror games because I'm too empathetic. I get myself too invested in the character and the story, and it freaks me out so much more than if I'm just sitting back and watching a movie, because I can detach myself from that.
Oh yeah, horror games fuck me out way more than horror movies, because, I mean, well, in a horror movie, it's scary and you're scared for the characters, but at least you're not in control of whether or not the characters die.
Right.
They're
believing in me. I have to get out of this creepy mansion or whatever.
Oh wait, I don't actually have to just wait to see what happens in the movie. I do actually have to shoot those zombies or whatever the fuck.
Why did they believe in me? They never should have believed in me.
Yeah.
So Eli, I heard that the first half or so of your vacation was pretty rough. How did it end up after that? How did it end up overall?
I mean, overall it was fine. I have my absolute worst trait is extreme jealousy. And it's something that I work very, very, very hard to mitigate. And I just had my little sister just had a baby. My little sister is a successful college graduate. I'm a college dropout. She's a teacher, like our dad. She's attractive, and she's not fat like me, and she's her husband is a coal miner who is quite well paid, and their house is like twice as big as mine at least. And so, and they live close to my parents. They only live about an hour and a half away. So they get to see my parents more often. And so I feel like even though I'm the older one, I feel like the bad child, the one that is the massive disappointment. And I have a lot of jealousy issues with my sister, which I mostly manage to keep to myself. But my dad would say something and it would trigger that, and I would have to just kind of go off somewhere and be by myself for a while. So it was frustrating in that regard. And also because my dad has really poor discretion when it comes to saying things, and just kind of blurts out whatever he thinks is funny. So that can make it a bit rough, but overall I had a good time. It's always great seeing my mom. So, and I got to see my grandma. So I almost never get to see her.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I definitely understand feeling like, and this is not me calling you this, but this is how I would say it in my own words. I definitely get feeling like the fail son of the family.
Yeah.
I've been trying to decide if fail son is a gender neutral term or not, even though it has the word son in it. It's kind of like being like daddy, right? Or being big boy season. It's like, no, that's for everybody. Daddy is a feeling, right? Anyway, I think that fail son is a gender neutral term because I'm definitely the fail son of my family. And so I got 3 siblings, and they're all successful in their own ways, right? And I'm sitting here being just fucking everything up constantly. I mean, being divorced, not using my career, always needing to borrow money, and and then I come home and I came out to my family over the holiday. So that was difficult and didn't go great. But the thing is, it went fine by more objective standards. I mean, I know a lot of people have to leave their house, have to be worried about being in danger. You know, people have to worry about their family, like, disowning them or whatever. Like, a couple of my friends were like, are you going to need a place to stay? And I didn't, right? So by that account, it went a lot better than it does for some people.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that. But it was such a weird conversation, y'all. Oh my god. I'm not gonna go that into it because it's weird and complicated, but I will throw it out there very quickly, because I feel like those out in Podland will find it interesting to hear. The conversation was like 15% about me being trans and like 85% about like me being a Christian. And I don't mean that in a connected way. I don't even mean like, oh, well, this is against our beliefs. Of course I know that. It's not surprising to me. No, like, my sister is like gaslighting me and saying I'm like not a Christian, which I am.
Yeah.
And I told my brother on the last day, I said, I just would rather be judged for something I am.
Yeah.
It's really weird that, like, if I'm like, I'm trans, and they're like, we don't like that, and we're judging you. I mean, I wouldn't like that, but that's what I expected. But it's really like, you're not a Christian. And I'm like, yes, I am. It's like, what do you believe? And I'm like, I believe basically every single point in the Nicene Creed except for the part about the Catholic Church. Because I'm still iffy on the authority of the papacy. But other than that, like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Jesus' death on the cross, like actual belief in heaven and, okay, probably not hell, but whatever. The point is, like, I believe all the bullet points. And then it's like, does your belief in the supernatural and in God and the Bible, does that like guide your life and your decisions? And I'm like, yes. But it's like, yeah, but you're not a Christian because you disagree on one or two, essentially, from my point of view, basically minor theological points. So it's like, we argue about that shit for an hour. Not even about being trans, just
they're trying to know true Scotsman you.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And again, like, they already all thought that. We probably would have had this argument even if I hadn't come out.
Yeah.
That's why it was so weird. And people who aren't from Southern, even Bible Belt evangelicalism probably do not. It would probably be impossible to actually explain it. some of the nuances to people. So most of my friends out here don't. I'm not going to talk about this with you because there's no way you would understand.
Yeah.
I grew up in a spiritual but non-religious house or non-Christian household. So like I have no frame of reference for any of this.
And that's why I'm not going to get into it because it's just bizarre. And the weird thing is both of my parents, I can tell they're trying and are probably going to try to really figure this out and accept it. My dad, the most important thing is this. The most important thing is I think my dad understands that it's a real thing that's not going to go away. And that's the important thing. Because if they think it's going to go away, if they think it's a phase, then they're not going to try to accept it. But my dad, I think, understands, like, okay, no, this is a thing our family's going to have to deal with. And I'm like, okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page.
I feel like someone who's in her 20s coming out as trans is far less likely to be going through a phase because this is someone who has clearly thought it out. And I mean, I was 27 when I came out to my parents, and they're like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of time to think about this, and no, I never talked about it with you because I was embarrassed and I didn't want to be judged. Because even if my dad doesn't think he's judgmental, he is his mother's son."
Yeah, and so my parents were chill. Weirdly enough, my sister was the biggest sticking point. She's young, she's fiery, she's got a lot of opinions, and it's tough because I love my sister. But anyway, that's my life. It's confusing, but overall, honestly, it's good. And I'm glad I did it. So
I'm really, really proud of you, and I'm glad that it went better than.
Oh, and I changed my name on Facebook.
Potentially could have. Oh, cool. I just made a new Facebook when I did mine.
Nope,
I was like, I'm gonna salt the earth.
Well, I do think back in the day, Facebook made it much harder to change your name. So maybe I don't know if you can remember or not, but it might have been the case that you weren't able to.
Maybe, but I mean, I made a conscious decision to leave my old Facebook behind because it had family members on there who are not quite so understanding. And then those family members found out about my new Facebook, and they went and told my grandma.
See, all my grandparents are dead. So.
Jerks!
It's sad. I loved my grandparents, but on the other hand, I don't have to worry about that. So that's good. Yeah. I don't care who else knows. Now that my parents know, I don't give a shit. I'm just like, whatever. I'm not coming out to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to change my Facebook name. If people are confused, they can figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the only thing I did this week was play Stardew Valley multiplayer, and I feel that takes away from what you guys did. So
Stardew Valley being multiplayer is so fucking rad.
I didn't know that happened.
Yes, they added multiplayers. The beta was going on over the summer, I think.
Yeah, but it's been on Switch for like a couple of months now, but. So me and Summer were like gearing up to play it for tax season. We were going to get her a Switch and get her Stardew Valley, and we could both play. But last night was date night, and we were like, "What if we just got Stardew Valley because it's on sale on Steam and made you a Steam account, and then we played it together in our office?" So that's all we did, and it was fun, but it's not a life-changing, heartfelt opening look at your soul, I guess.
We're experiencing the joys of farm life together. And without all the hardship, because, like, maybe it'll rain and maybe a crop will die, but you can replant that and it'll grow back in 3 minutes. Days. Yeah. 3 in-game days, depending on how fast you sleep,
Yeah.
And, making friends is easy. You just have to give them stuff. And talk to them once a day.
That's all you have to do in your life.
And then once you get to 10 hearts, you don't have to talk to them ever again. That's how best friends work.
In real life, you want to make friends, you have to start a podcast.
Yeah, for real.
But Eli, I just want you to know that I love you and I cherish you for who you are and everything. And I'm glad that you're back. I'm back home, as if we see each other and your location mattered at all. But I'm glad that you're back home.
Well, I wasn't very talkative when I was on vacation, so
yeah. But
thank you.
Yeah, and I'm proud.
Oh, go on.
Oh, and I'm proud of you, Maddie, for coming out to your parents. I know that that's super hard. I've never officially told my parents that I'm an atheist, which is not the exact same coming out. But when your parents when your parent is a Baptist preacher, it's very close.
Yeah.
With my family, it would honestly, I don't even consider that to be an unfair comparison. It would be similar.
It would.
Which is why it was weird when they were like trying to tell me I was, and I'm like, no, I'm not though. Is the thing. Can you at least be upset about the thing that actually is happening instead of the thing that you're imagining is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very weird.
But we have a lot of world building to get through today. When I said the Disc 3 bullshit starts in Disc 3, it starts hard. And that's about all we got this week was like plot exposition. What are we actually doing all of this for?
I mean, it made things easier for me because I didn't have to come back and do some massively hard boss fight. The only boss fight was optional, and I was like, great, fuck it.
What am I fighting for?
My goal as an RPG book club boy is to play as little of the game as possible and complete it. I'm kidding. But
it's a worthy do it because it's. I also
there's different ways to play the game.
Yeah, in games that are like complicated, it would be cool to see like what but you have to understand these 5 points to beat the game is type thing. So it's like, if we're playing here in Legend of Dragoon and the only way to understand like the whole deal with the black monster is to go and do this optional boss fight and talk with these NPCs that you skip, and then it's important later, like what would that look like and stuff.
And I told Ken that you were doing that optional boss fight, and he's like, it'll be interesting to see if there's any changes in the game between how Sam's goes after the boss fight and mine goes without doing it. And I'm like, yeah, probably nothing. But I'm just considering it as I'm doing a very slow speed run.
Yeah, I feel like you probably actually fought this optional boss fight. I don't think you realized it was optional.
No, I skipped it.
You skipped the wolf?
I skipped the wolf, yeah.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
They were like, go fight the wolf, and I'm like, nope, got better things to do.
Okay, because it like the 7th fort in Disc 1, it's optional, but it doesn't feel like it in the moment. So...
it did not feel optional, but I have a guide that I was just referencing every now and then, so I knew where to go, and it was like, this is an optional fight. I'm like, great, moving on.
Meanwhile, some boy gets eaten by a wolf, and you're like, well, at least I got to the end of the game quickly.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely have to do all the optional stuff, not just because of who I am as a person, but also just like, I'm on Team Shana, and if I don't make sure I fight all the bosses, Team Shana is gonna be having a hard time.
Yeah. But
although I could be on Team Shana for like half of this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be on Team Shana ever again.
Really? Ever again?
Wait, what?
But did you not get that?
I mean,
I thought she was going to come back later.
Yeah, I assumed that she'd be coming back at some point, but well then.
I didn't realize
like
she was just Ollie Outie.
It's like Lavitz, but without the death and the sadness.
She says a thing that like isn't true, because if you did the side quest, it's not true. But if you didn't do the side quest, it is true. Where she says she hasn't felt connected to the dragon for forever, and that she knows that it's not her destiny because of the other magic powers and shit that she has.
I guess that's true. I just thought that she was just having a day, and that she'd be back in a little bit. And yeah, I know that sure, she was literally like replaced wholesale by the other character, but
yeah.
Or maybe it would go back and forth. Because I mean, this is, to be fair, this is the part of the game where characters are leaving your party for no fucking reason constantly.
Well,
True.
At least now we get a character with additions.
Nope. She's Albert, but for Shana. She has all of Shana's everything.
Here's the thing. I love Shana, really, as a character. Being Team Shana, though, was really just my stubborn commitment to suffering through mechanical bullshit. So as long as I get to continue doing that, I'm happy.
Yeah.
You can suffer for all of us, because I'm going with Rosen Kongol.
Yeah, so this week I got some item that like triples your magic attack or something ridiculous. I was like, oh, I'll go and be on team. I'll be on Team Shana as well. And I used her Dragon Edition, which I don't know why they call it a Dragon Edition because it doesn't even give you a cool like camera angle to do it to match anybody else's. This game works so hard to make you hate using Shana and kick her out of your party. It's just like, oh, she has no additions, and even when she's the Dragoon, you don't even get a new animation of her shooting her bow.
Yeah.
Then at the same time, you see the flashback where Shirley is a badass, putting like 3 arrows on her bow at once and flying around all zippy doo dah, and Shauna's just like, hut. And that's it.
I guess it is cool that the literal plot is like she's not one of you. She's not an action warrior hero. And look, the mechanics are even trying to tell you, like, look, she doesn't even go here.
Yeah.
But even if her replacement has that same deal, like,
yeah, it falls apart in their commitment to.
Yeah.
I haven't used her. I don't even know if she's.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
We've barely started the disc.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, Shana leaves the party. Second spoiler alert, don't worry, she doesn't die. Okay, honestly, look, I love Lavitz, he's a sweetie pie, but if Shana died, I would yeet my fucking PlayStation Vita across the room. Like...
Yeah, especially after her, like, bashful, cute thing last time. Because it's like, oh, she got her mans and she had this beautiful thing and like we bonded with her so much as a character and now she's vulnerable and it's not okay.
Yeah, no, I would turn the game off. I would turn the game console off right now and I would leave the podcast and the country. And you'd never hear from me again.
Yeah. All right, so let's actually get through this little optional thing at the beginning so we can dive into the meaty goodness that is the world building. So the first we show up in Milsiso and we're treated like heroes when we get there, which is kind of awesome. Like we walk up to a guy, is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we have a thing going on and we can't like let you use our rent-a-boats or whatever." And we're like, "Yeah, but we're the Dragoons." And it's like, "Holy shit, you're the Dragoons. Here, have 40 boats. I don't give a shit. Just you're the best. Take everything." And it's kind of awesome. Because that never happens in a JRPG.
It's amazing how much the game reacts to you being a hero. It's so cool.
Yeah. And the only real plot development we learn of here is that, A, we need to go to Leningrad because it's the capital, and not to be confused with Leningrad at all. But we...
literally just replacing things with Ds.
Yeah. And so we need to get there, but we also know that Dart learned a lullaby from his mother that Haschel's daughter made up herself one time. So Haschel is Dart's grandpa, and yeah.
They tried to throw us off the trail by literally acknowledging how stupid of a twist that would be, but then they fucking went for it.
They went for it.
I gotta say, I fell for it. I thought that scene was a joke, and that the joke was that would be a stupid twist, and that's not actually the twist. And now it is, and I'm like, cool.
Well, so
okay.
So we also see Shana look at the moon that never sets, and she gets a huge headache, which is probably related to the Black Monster Princess Luvia shit from last time.
Yeah.
And then on the way to Leningrad, Rose leaves, and everyone's like, all right, see you later. And then Meru tries to leave, and we're like, well, why are you leaving? You have to tell us. And Meru's like, I'm just going to see my parents. But we were just like, yeah, Rose is mysterious. She can go and do mystery things, but why are you? Why are you leaving?
Yeah, what do you have to do? You ain't got nowhere to be.
It really is so funny 15. How both characters are just like, well, bye.
Yeah. I also love Meru because Meru obviously like was thinking about leaving but wasn't like going to leave, and then Rose is just like, I gotta go, and you see Meru's character model just start backing up like, oh well, if she's leaving then they won't notice that I'm leaving.
I forget, did y'all play Final Fantasy 15, right? Sam, you did.
Nope.
Yeah.
In FF15 that happens. There's a part towards the end of chapter like 11 or 10 or whatever, where what's the big chonky boy, Gladio. Gladio literally just like, he's like, oh, preparing to go on the boat. I gotta go peace out for reasons, and they're all just like, okay. And then, like, a chapter later, he's like, I'm back. And in that game, it turned out it was because he was leaving for the DLC.
Yeah.
He had a special optional personal quest he had to go on, but they hadn't finished it in time for the game's release. So the DLC, each character has their own special little mission. Mm-hmm. And later in the game, it's more explicit. Like, when Prompto leaves the party, it's because he literally falls off a fucking train.
Yeah.
It's like a tragedy happens to him, and you're like, oh god, is Prompto dead? And then later he shows up again, and you're like, oh, thank god he's not dead. So, and then his side mission DLC is about what he did during that time he was accidentally separated from the party. So for most of the characters, it's like, oh, they were accidentally separated, and they had their own adventure. But with Gladio, it's literally just like, I gotta go do a quest. Bye. And the thing is, they hadn't even announced the DLC when the game first came out. But like, you could tell, oh, he's leaving to go on some cut content.
Yeah.
That's what this felt like. It was like Rose is like, I gotta go, buy the DLC, guys.
It was good.
That wasn't a thing back in that day.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, so we get to Leningrad, and we talk to a lot of people, we get a lot of exposition, and we watch three pointless FMVs, and, yeah, so we get through a lot. I'm gonna try and make it through it. My notes are literally just bullet points of things that we all read. Basically, the quote-unquote plot is we go to the church, and then we go to the library, and then we go to see Rose, and we go to see Meru, and we learn all of these next things across those four little things. But, so I'm just gonna start going, and you guys can stop and ask questions, because I know more than is just in these bullet points, and can probably explain it in a non-plot-y way, and hopefully go through it. So, Soa is the name of God in this one. If you were Jewish and you couldn't write the vowels for it, his name would be S. And,
it's a snake god.
Yeah, and the divine tree is how he created the world, and when he created the divine tree, it bore 108 fruits, and each fruit became a species for the planet.
They only have 108 different types of things.
Yeah,
apparently.
And what I've always wanted to do is look at the bestiary and see if there's more than 107 monsters you fight.
Biologists, or whatever the word is for like people who study different species, they have a really easy job in this universe.
Yeah.
Well, it would be for the bestiary, you'd have only 105, because Gigantos, humans, and Winglies are all like people.
No,
so actually, Sam, I have a question regarding.
That's actually not true. So here's the thing where I can add it in.
Can you also hear me?
Gigantos are the 96th species. Humans are the 106th species. And the Winglies were 107th. And each species is supposed to get better and better. And so the Dragon campaign was the Winglies being like, we are the best. We are the best. Humans are the worst. We're going to enslave humans. And humans are like, that's kind of not cool.
That's pretty
and so
2 legs and wings good. 2 legs and not wings bad.
Yeah. And so they had a big old fight about that. And so dragons are the 105th. So like right before humans. So it was like the two chonky ones fighting the badass one. It was the Dragon campaign. So yeah, Gigantos, and then there's also Minutos, which feels like cut content because they only ever show up in a dream sequence later, but they like are mentioned in this big thing where it's like, oh, the Gigantos are blah blah blah, and the Minutos are blah blah blah, and you're like, I don't know who they are, and I'm never going to meet one.
Are they small?
Yeah, they're small.
Are they small beans?
They're small beans. But yeah. So the Dragon campaign was the Winglies fighting the humans and the dragons, and the Winglies had magic and flying cities, and they were awesome. And they still lost. And the reason they lost. Sorry, my bullet points are in order gameplay, but not in order on how to talk to them to make it make sense. But so the Winglies had magic and flying cities, and Nobuframa wanted more power. So he asked God for power and received power. And he received that power by locking away the gods into the moon that never sets, so that he was like super awesome. So then the Dragoons won by freeing those gods to like make them blow up and kill the Winglies. No, because this is confusing as shit. The gods were not trapped in the moon that never sets. They were trapped here on Earth. They wanted to go back to the moon that never sets. So the Dragoons won by freeing them. Melbuframa lost all of his power. They were able to kill Melbuframa. Dragon campaign was held back. The Dragon campaign was over. The gods were locked in the moon that never sets by these signet stones, and if the signet stones get destroyed, it'll be the end of the world.
Nice.
Apparently, this is hard.
I have a quick clarification question about the species, because I missed the part about the species being like in order of them getting better. At some point. This is a little bit later actually in the plot expositions. At some point, someone refers to a certain species. I think it was the dragons. Yeah. So I definitely know for a fact that you got something a little bit wrong, because I just played this part last night. I did most of my playing last night. Someone specifically says that the dragons are the second most powerful creature created, and they very explicitly don't say who the most powerful is. Which I'm guessing
I
might
believe
show up
it's
later.
dragons, humans, Winglies. And not humans, dragons, Winglies. But let me look. Because the person that said that to you was probably a human. So,
because when they said dragons are the second most powerful, my immediate question, who's the most powerful? And that wasn't said.
Dragons are 105, and humans are 106. Winglies are 107.
I guess the person who said that was dumb then.
Yeah.
Because that's not true? Okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you for the clarification.
But yeah, it's weird. But
definitely a line of dialogue though, whatever.
Yeah. Though in this game you can't necessarily trust the lines of dialogue.
Yeah,
you kind of have to
talking. Well, me and Sam were talking. I was talking to Sam, saying this to Sam yesterday. This game's translation, it's very cute, but like sometimes it legitimately is like I don't understand the lore because of the localization. So whatever.
I thankfully have played it 5 times and read the wiki and also looked at a literary analysis breakdown of everything. So I have a little bit better handle on it than I have ever had before in my life. So so that was the main stuff about the Dragon campaign, but we learn a lot of cool stuff about the Black Monster. So 18 years ago, Neat, which is in Mil Sasso, was burned to the ground. And one of the Sacred Sisters of Nisan, the Sacred Sisters of Mil Sasso, was from there. And she went blind, so she couldn't see the Black Monster. And apparently the Black Monster was okay with that, just wanted anyone who could see what she was doing to destroy it. So, so the Black Monster comes once every 108 years, as well as the Moonchild, and the Moonchild is supposed to...
huh?
Yeah. So, God damn it. So the Moonchild is supposed to purify the world, but the Black Monster is like, nah, fam, and kills a lot of people instead. And in doing so, kills the Moonchild, and it keeps the gods in the moon that never sets, because of reasons. Like the signets and stuff. So
you abbreviated that as MTNS, and I'm like, the mountains?
the moon that never sets is a very long thing to say over and over again.
It really does not roll off the tongue.
No. But whoops. I hope Eli isn't following along.
What?
Do you have the notes open?
No, I don't.
Okay, good. I put in a thing that you said that you hadn't put together. So
yeah, that's why I very explicitly was asking you yesterday if you'd figured out the twist yet, because I didn't want to be spoiling it for you today.
Still feel real stupid about that, but whatever.
It's fine.
No. Given that I do know what the twist is, I know for a fact that you should not feel stupid for not picking up on it. It's actually not super obvious. When I asked Sam,
this is when you can start picking up on it. It only becomes obvious at the end of the disc. So
when I asked Sam yesterday if the twist was the twist, I was half expecting him to be like, no, actually, that's not actually it. So,
yeah, it's still really early, but I had casually wrote it in my notes as if I didn't share these with other people that haven't played the game before. But
so anyway, yeah, you're chill. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Black Monster was looking for Princess Luvia in Neat, and the Blind Sister's mother was like, she's not here, she's on a boat, and so the Black Monster was like, oh, well, gonna kill you anyways, so does so. So then where when the moon glows red, the Moonchild comes and prepares the earth for the gods, and the Black Monster is not about that. The Black Monster does not want the gods to come back. So yeah, that then the other bit of stuff we learn is stuff about the Winglies, and we learn about the Winglies because when they went their separate ways, Rose went to Neat to look around, and Meru went to the forest of the Winglies and revealed that she's a Wingly. So we get a lot of stuff about the Winglies from first-hand accounts and not just reading in a book as per before. So
or a voice acted cutscene for some reason.
Yeah. So first things first, the Winglies are not dead, and also Meru is one. And she's on a self-appointed Rumspringa because she's like, I want to go and see the world, so I'm going to go and do that. And everyone's like, that's not what we do.
It's not part of our culture.
We just hang out. Why are you leaving? And she's just like, well, I want to. I'm Meru. And so Winglies don't have the power of the gods because they're locked away in the moon that never sets. So they suck like really bad. It's like comical how much they suck. Like there's a part way later where Dart shows up and he's like, yeah, well, Winglies have magic, so I'm going to hit you with a fireball. And Dart just like pushes it away. And I was like, whatever. Can we continue talking? But so now they're super afraid of humans because they don't have the power, but they just want to live, so they hide, and they're all super on edge for it. That's why they didn't want Meru to leave, and they all kind of like disown her because she's left. They're just like, well, since you've left to be with the humans, why don't you just go live with the humans instead of with us? We never want to see you again. And it's racism. Like, that's the point of this whole thing. It's just like racism is bad, so don't do racism. But
don't do it.
Just
not
don't
even
do it.
once.
Yeah, and so as
you want to try some racism?
as Meru is leaving her town, her who we find out later is her fiance in one of my favorite scenes of this time. But he comes out and is like, look, just stay with me. I can protect you from all the bad things going on. And she's like, what bad thing is going on? And he's like, the divine dragon is awakening, and we don't have any of our magic MacGuffin items to stop the divine dragon. And Meru's just like, well, fuck. I'm gonna go tell my friends because it kind of sounds like something we should be doing. And
my friends, the heroes,
and not you, the boy. But yeah. So we after Meru leaves, we watch the divine dragon awaken in a super awesome FMV that goes on for about 30 seconds too long. But because like he wakes up and it's awesome, and he flies out and it's awesome. He starts fucking up the town and it's awesome, and then he keeps fucking up the town.
Yeah.
And he just
you're like,
keeps fucking up the town.
Well, it's a big dragon. It has a lot to fuck up.
Yeah.
It's a big dragon in a big town.
Yeah.
But yeah, right after that happens, Rose and Meru come back to the party, and it's also when Dart starts to be a little bit of Shana and starts getting headaches and heartburn and all of these things because of the dragon coming by.
Oh man, dragon heartburn sounds awful.
It sounds horrible.
It's a whole other beast from regular heartburn.
Yeah, if I eat too soon before I go to bed, I get horrible heartburn.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine what that would be like if I was a Dragoon.
Yeah.
Especially the fire Dragoon. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. And this scene where Dart gets the heartburn or whatever is the part I was talking about like 2 episodes ago where I was like, man, I wish I knew the exact quote. Well, I wrote it down this time, so I have the exact quote. But when Dart keels over, he remembers what Rose was telling him, except he doubts himself. So there's a certain bit of words that change, and it's super cool. So the quote was, "Humans fight by making themselves enter insanity. It's the same for revenge. This is a tool to amplify the insanity, and this insanity is the source of the power of Dragoons, the Dragon Knight. Someday something will happen, and if you cannot chasten your insanity, I wonder if you will be able to endure it, given the meagerness of your spirit." It said size when Rose asked it. It was just like, hey, do you think you'll be able to do it? But Dart heard it as meagerness, as in you're not good enough to be the Dragoon. So when he was haunting himself, the word changed because it's cool and subtle like that, which is why I was mad that I didn't write down the quote, because it changing was cool.
See, but, I had forgotten the exact wording of the quote. So when they brought it back, I remembered that it had happened, and I remembered that Rose had said it, but I forgot what the wording was. So when they brought it back, and it said meagerness, I was like, "Damn, Rose!
Yeah,
like what a bitch! what a jerk!" But actually, he wasn't being a jerk. Actually,
it was just good old fashioned self doubt.
Dart just had some internalized shit going on. Nice.
Yeah. So now that the group's all back together, we remember that we're on the quest to get all the divine mood objects. So we go to because like the whole time everyone's like, "Well, Lloyd isn't here," and we're like, "Wait, I remember our main quest now. It's not just kill Lloyd. Let's go in."
We forgot.
Let's go and do the thing. So we go to the Crystal Palace, which has great music. It's like low key and poppy and awesome, and
it's cute.
It doesn't use the same castle theme as the other towns, which
is good because I don't like that song that much.
Yeah, I don't like it much at all.
I gotta say, I was a little sad. I was playing this part without headphones. I had the sound, just it was coming out of my Vita and not out of headphones, so I wasn't getting the full effect. But it's a good song.
Yeah. The regular town theme here is my least favorite town theme. It's boring as hell, but the castle theme is really good. But so we meet the first sister, Miranda, who conveniently is wearing white, and she's flipping shit because of it's a giant dragon, and the knights are just like, yeah, but it's too big to actually exist, so we don't have to fight it because it doesn't actually exist. And she's like,
that's not how things work.
Are you dumb? She's like, what's your plan for fighting it? He's like, well, we don't have to because it doesn't exist. She's like, what? Did you not just see it blow up our town?
I admire their commitment to not believing in things.
Well, it's like in Welcome to Night Vale, you know, they'll see mountains, but no, mountains don't exist.
Mountains can't exist. And if you say, and if you acknowledge mountains, there's a siren that goes off and you're taken away because mountains obviously do not exist.
Yeah, exactly.
But so she's Miranda's flipping her shit, and we show up and are just like, hey, it's a dragon. We're dragoons. Killing dragons is our jam. Kind of lucky that we're here. We'll go kill the dragon for you. But when we head off to go and see it, oh wait, no, I skipped a line. So we're like, oh, we can go and kill it, and Rose is like, well, it's the strongest of all of the dragons, so we're going to have to get the dragon block staff to stand a chance against the dragon. And Meru's like, oh, that I know what that is. It's in the forest of the Winglies. And everyone's like, how do you know that? And she's like, nothing.
Extremely bad infosec.
Yeah. And so we head off to go and get the dragon block staff, but Shana is called back doing her Shana isms again, where she hears voices, and she wanders into an old room where the Winglies did some magic ritual to seal something. It's the signet. I don't know why I wrote it this way when I talked about the signets and the thing up above, but it's the signet room. and Miranda's like, well, that's probably why the Divine Dragon attacked the place, was to destroy this. And Shana like does her Shana thing and keels over, but then her white Dragoon spirit flies out and goes to Miranda, and we're like, oh, I guess we're getting a party member here. It's kind of just like low key, and I understand why you guys were confused about it, because it is super low key, and Lavitz had a full like video that went along with it and a dramatic thing, and this was just
also,
I guess
died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, oh wait, we have our big quest, and this one was just normal in-engine, just like Shiny goes away, Shiny comes down to Miranda.
Well, also the fact that we like just met Miranda, I figured it's like, oh, Shauna's out of commission for a while. Miranda is, because like this game's pretty episodic, right? So characters usually show up and then you don't see them again after you finish the quest. Yeah. So I was like, oh, I guess Miranda's going to be in the party for the duration of this quest, and then we'll continue on with Shana.
Mm-hmm.
Guess not.
No.
She's got to go be the Moonchild or whatever. Please don't comment if that's right or not. I don't know. But if Sam comments that it's right, and then I'll feel bad for spoiling it for myself and others. Yeah. Anyway, that's my hypothesis.
I have a lot of words about that, but you asked me not to.
Sorry. I just blurted that out, and then after I blurted it out, I realized, oh wait, I need to make sure that Sam doesn't tell me that I'm right.
Okay. So, okay.
I will say, just to clarify a little bit, there's a lot of reasons why that does not make sense. Mostly because Shana is not from Neat, so, whatever. But then again, Jesus wasn't from Nazareth. so there you go. Yeah. Let's move on. Forget I said anything.
Okay.
Because even you telling me I'm wrong saying, could be a spoiler.
I'm just saying that things that happened in the Ghost Boat and things we learned about the Black Monster this week only have one conclusion. So the fact that it's a question mark for you is weird for me, but let's just keep going.
I wasn't paying attention on the Ghost Boat, so there you go.
So,
I will say this is one of the things that I'm like, not a question.
Yeah. Not a question at all, but okay. So, so Shana passes out, is all sick and stuff, so she says she hasn't been able to feel the white silver dragon since Fernie, but when you kill the wolf, which I skipped over, but there's this kid who's like, man, my wolf is sick and is acting strange, and we go to investigate or not. And when you go to investigate, you fight it, and then as it's dying, Shana or Miranda, depending on when you do it, uses the white silver dragoon spirit to heal the dog and turn it back into a dog and not a wolf, and everyone lives happily ever after. But she uses her white silver dragoon spirit to do it. She calls on the dragon by name, and she holds it out and saves this dog 5 minutes ago. And now she's like, I haven't been able to feel the dragon in a very long time.
Also, it's not even just that she heals it, because, she's a healer. Healing spell's pretty passé. But, she heals it and essentially, exorcises it.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty significant display of power.
Yeah, but okay, she hasn't felt its power in a while. Whatever.
Well, in my game, the wolf is still running amok,
so Miranda could go.
A lot makes more sense for Eli's game.
It actually makes a lot more sense, because if Miranda, everyone's like, well, I don't know, is she going to join my party or not? And so then if you go back to fight the wolf and she uses it in a badass way to exorcise this demon, you're like, oh, look at her power. She obviously is the white silver dragoon.
Yeah,
But no, that's not how it worked out for me.
Kwisatz Haderach.
I have no idea what the word
I don't get that reference. Y'all, no. Okay, y'all need to freaking read and or watch Dune. The movie's bad, but it's still, you should
I was going to say, isn't that one that David Lynch is really disappointed in?
Yeah, the movie sucks ass, but you should still watch it. The book is amazing.
But, yeah. I've heard a lot of things, and everybody that watches and or reads it loves it, and I'm just like, eventually. So we head over to the forest of a small thing, but Shana asks Miranda to take care of everyone, and Miranda promises to, so it's sweet. But we get to the Forest of the Winglies, and Meru lets us in, and there's like no guards or magic anything. It's just like, oh, the door is hidden by magic, so you can't get in. But there's no problem if you want to get in, just ask.
I also love how the door is hidden in the extremely conspicuous dead end that I noticed earlier that didn't serve any purpose.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is there a dead end in an area that the game never even made me go to this screen? That's weird. And then later it's like, oh, I guess that's how you get to Wingley City.
Yeah. And they could have just put a chest there, and you would never have had a clue. You would have been like, oh, yep, this is a screen to put in a chest.
Yep. But in this case, I immediately knew where to go.
Yeah. But, we this whole section is pretty much an after-school special on racism. Like, Meru goes to talk to her parents, and they're like, we don't want you to be unequally yoked. And she's just like, yeah, but these are my friends, and also look at Dart's butt. And they're like, well, okay.
Oh my god.
He does have a butt that doesn't
He's got a cute side to him.
Yeah. and then like these dudes known as the Bardells, they're just like, you humans suck and us Winglies are awesome, and we're like, no, not really. And it's a lot of just like racism is bad. So we meet up with
racism is bad. That's why being the oppressed class that is worried that you're gonna die because of your oppressors, it's still bad to be racist against the oppressors, apparently, because this is an after-school special with about that level of analysis.
Yeah, yes.
Because they're just like, oh, we're scared because we know not all humans are bad, but some humans could kill the shit out of us. And I love and I love how Meru's like, that's dumb, and I'm like, no, actually, they've got a good point.
Yeah, like
pretty reasonable.
Like, I feel this one muddies the waters by making them be in hiding and about to die. Spoilers for the like morality of this is they are not the only Wingley City. So they are hiding because they think that they're better. But like, you don't know that until you meet the other Winglies in like the last 10 minutes of disc 4 type thing. So it's like this whole time you're just like, yeah, I think we're kind of on the wrong side here. But yeah, so you don't have to feel bad about this after school special part right here.
Nice.
Because they're in hiding because they think that they're better, and they're xenophobic more than oppressed.
Okay. So, aside that I promise I will limit to literally one sentence.
Okay.
I just saw Aquaman yesterday, and it owns, and it actually deals with this question in a very interesting way.
Nice.
It's got a lot more political and racial nuance than I was expecting, and it's cool that the people who are low-key oppressed are also like, it does the whole like the oppressed people are actually trying to take over the world, and that's bad thing, except in a way that ends up making sense and not being stupid. It's cool.
Nice. It was about 4 sentences, but okay.
it was 1 sentence. I was paying attention.
Oh, you're right. I made sure everything was a comma, no periods. But yeah, so after we make our way through all of these NPCs, which, as Eli knows, are optional, so Eli did not talk to them.
I talked to some of them. I talked to Meru's mom and dad and the Bartle boy.
But not her fiance? You didn't go looking for him?
Okay, I don't know who that is, so you're...
Okay.
I don't know him. I imagine Dart looking at people and being like, I'm sorry, you're optional?
Yeah.
I've got places to be.
Yeah. There's shit to do.
So, yeah, we meet the ancestor who's smarter and wiser and cooler than the rest of the racist Winglies, and says that, yeah, maybe we should have all worked together and thought about equality instead of demanding that we were better when really our God had left us and we were shitty. But, so Meru's just like, oh, you got to let me go and fight with them. And he's like, okay, cool. And, so he's like, there's only like 100 of us left, so we can't really go and do it ourselves. So you guys, 7 is more than 100. You guys can go and get the dragon block staff from the Forbidden Land and seal off the dragon, and everything will be cool. And Meru's like, okay, I'll go and do this, but you have to overrule the whole xenophobia commandment and let me come back and talk to my mom and dad, because that's kind of fucked up that there's a law that says I can't talk to my mom and dad ever again. And he's like, you're right. And he's like, go and learn about the world and catch up all these old people on what's gone down in the last 10,000 years, and kind of exactly what happened with Lilica in Rogue Galaxy.
Yep.
And from there, we can explore the forest to see a lot of great optional scenes. But of course, we're Eli, so we save and finish playing for the week.
These people's like deeply held for centuries ideological beliefs are just like very flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, you should try being different. And they're like, all right.
Right,
when you put it that
We're
way.
not gonna like it, but we'll do it.
I feel like they're almost like, oh, we never thought about that before. Huh.
Yeah. Huh. Weird.
Work with the humans. Although the scene, like you said earlier, where Dart shows off his power is really good. They're literally like, we can handle it. We're Winglies. We're strong. And then Dart literally just like powers up.
Yeah.
Goes insane. And they're like, okay, never mind. Y'all should do it.
Sorry, you're really good. But
okay.
So yeah, let's go through memorable moments. I already snuck in a couple of mine because I realized I was zooming through everything. But yeah, what were some of you guys' favorite lines, bits, scenes, etc.?
I really liked that librarian. Actually, I didn't like him. I disliked him, but that's why he was cute. Let's see, what's the line? So when you first meet this librarian, what's his name?
Ute or Ute.
Libertarian Ute. You meet him, and he's just being very pompous, like, yes, I'm a sophisticated librarian. And Haschel goes, I don't like stubborn old guys because I want to be an adorable old guy.
That was one that I had put down too.
And then a little bit later, you get to the library, and Haschel goes, I guess I have to use my brain for the first time in a long time. And then a little while later, he goes, Libertarian, you act like you're superior to everyone. And he goes, of course, I am superior. And then Haschel says, I prefer being a hit with girls over feeling superior.
At first I misread that line, and I thought he said, I prefer being hit with girls. And I'm like, how does that work? I mean, you're a martial artist, but do you want them to be thrown at you?
That's
he likes to get stepped on. I get it.
But not in a sexy way.
Rose specifically to hit him in a sexy way. Anyway, and then my final one. Actually, I've got a couple, but we can hopscotch. Obviously. But we were talking about earlier how the moon that never sets is not exactly elegant. This game gives Xenogears a run for its money when Rose says, the arrival of the, quote, one who glares through 7 diabolic eyes and who crosses the sky with 7 wings, end quote. It's trouble. Like, that is some Xenogears ass quotation mark right there. Yeah, that's a couple that I've got.
Yeah. One real quick one that I have is just the Queen Fury's boarding ramp is a cool ass metal claw that just shoots out and grabs into the dirt and like pulls the boat closer to it, and everyone just hops down like that's normal, and it's cool.
Yeah, it rules.
I don't really have any other memorable moments that haven't been mentioned. Because, like you all said, I really, really like when Dart blocks the fire attack from the Wingly, and he's just so casual about it.
Yeah.
Like, he transforms into a Dragoon and then just kind of, like, holds up his hand.
It kind of reminds me how in Sailor Moon, like, in the Sailor Moon game we played, the first time they transform, it's this huge ordeal, but then later, it's just like, you just snap your finger and you transform, and back and forth, like, it's just no thing. It's like they're so used to going to dragon form now, they're just like, dragon form.
Whatever.
Well, that is kind of a Sailor Moon thing for him to do as well, to hold up his hand to block the fire attack, because the first time that Usagi goes into Super Sailor Moon in the Infinity arc, I think it's Uriel is blasting her with fire, and she just holds her hand up.
Yeah.
And it just completely blocks it, and she just looks so calm.
Like, that's how you be a badass in an anime, is you just hold up your hand and deflect everything.
The ultimate example of that, I forget, how familiar are either of y'all with Dragon Ball?
I'm fairly
familiar with it. Sam, do you remember the part when they first meet Future Trunks, and Future Trunks wants to prove how badass he is to Goku or something like that, and Goku is like, hell no, you're not that badass. So anyway, Trunks does like a 1,000,000 hit combo with his sword on Goku, and Goku deflects the entire thing. But the thing is, what happens is Goku doesn't go Super Saiyan. He just makes his finger go Super Saiyan, and he literally uses his single Super Saiyan index finger to block all of Trunks' sword swipes. So and it's the most badass thing that
I love it.
It's just a flex. It's just a fucking flex. It's the best thing that's ever happened. That's again the same trope.
Boy, Dragon Ball is ridiculous.
It's so good, though.
I've looped around. As a kid, I was like, Dragon Ball's the best thing ever. And then I grew up and was like, it's a little bit cheesy and childish. And then I grew up and I was like, no, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
I grew up a second time.
I think the most exposure I have to Dragon Ball... I mean, I watched some Dragon Ball Z as a kid. I had a friend who liked it. And it was on Toonami around the same time as Sailor Moon. So, you know,
I mean, it was a huge cultural zeitgeist. I'm sure you...
Yeah, I saw like the whole Frieza saga and was like, okay, I get it. Cool. But like, the most exposure I've had to it, aside from that, is Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Which is really good.
It's hilarious. But I've only watched the first season or whatever with Nappa, which is amazing.
Actually, Nappa Eli, brief little tip, Eli. Dragon Ball Z Abridged, in addition to being very funny, actually follows the story pretty well and hits a lot of the emotional beats. So, funny enough, you can watch DBZ Abridged and, in addition to laughing, actually get pretty invested in the characters in the story. And also, but the thing is, you're invested in the characters in the story for the same reasons that you would be if you were watching the actual show.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of interesting. So, in a way, it is abridged and not just a parody.
Yeah.
Not to say it's watching the real show, but if you watch the whole Abridged, you'll be like, oh, I really care about this character and these conflicts. I'm like, yeah. That's how I feel, an actual Dragon Ball fan.
Yeah. But two quick little ones from or I'll do three. Actually, I'll do four. Sorry, but
that's fine.
They're all relatively close. So the first one actually happens in that badass scene. So I'll start there. But Bardell gets his butt kicked by just being deflected by Dart like it's no big deal. And Rose is, she specifically calls out, she's like, so you Winglies are weak because after, we agreed that the war was over, you went and hid and are clinging to the glory of the past instead of living in the present where the whole world kind of sucks so we could really work together and make things better. And that's the theme of the game. Again, it hits it home in ways that I didn't notice my first 5 times playing it through. And then I'm just like, oh yeah, everyone literally says the same thing over and over again. It's kind of a really obvious theme of the game and not just because there's some games it's oh, the theme of the game is loss and everybody has lost something. And you're like, well, yeah, but everybody in the real world has lost something. So I didn't notice until you said it.
The theme of the game is that awful Control-Alt-Delete comic. Sorry.
Wait, which one?
I can't hear loss without thinking of loss.
Right,
JPEG.
obviously.
That's funny. But, so then some more funny ones from the Wingly things is Meru shows up to the door and she's like, oh, but don't worry, I can get us into the forest. And Dart goes, Meru, are you? And she goes, yep, I'm a Wingly. Are you surprised? And he goes, yeah, in all caps. He's like, of course I'm surprised. You're supposed to be dead.
It's not just that we didn't know you were one. We didn't know that they weren't all dead.
Yeah, we literally flipped out that Linus was a Wingly 5 minutes ago. Why didn't you say anything? But
God.
Yeah, so then you get inside and you talk to her parents, and Meru's don't worry, I'll take care of the humans. And her parents are like, who? You're going to be taking care of who exactly? You're in charge of someone? I don't get it. You're saying these words and they're just not making sense to me. I'm really not understanding you. And then my last one is when you go to talk to her fiance, he says something and Dart's like, oh, who's this? And Meru's like, this is my friend. And Guarhara is like, just a friend? And Meru's like, oh, sorry, my best friend. We grew up together. And he's like, nothing else? And she goes, what do you mean? He goes, you're my fucking fiance. She goes, oh, right. I forgot about that.
I really like him. He comes off as like kind of like the milquetoast, or not the milquetoast, just sort of like the schmuck, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't get enough development to really know, like, is it an arranged marriage? But you feel like they probably really are in love, and Meru probably does love him deeply. She's just dumb and forgets.
Yeah.
And he doesn't come off as a loser, is the thing. Yeah. Even though she treats him like one, he actually comes off as like, no, he's not strong, he's not adventurous, he doesn't go out on adventures, he stays home and is a goody good boy and obeys the laws of the people, but like that's not a bad thing. I really like him.
Yeah, I like him a lot too.
Yeah, I do.
One more, because I just saw it and I forgot, and we didn't mention it casually. But this entire like hour that we're spending going around to various libraries, Albert is so excited. He has like a giant.
Yes,
he's like rock hard for libraries.
No, Albert is so good. Like, I know we all love Lavitz, but oh my gosh, Albert is really, really good.
Yeah, he's great.
He's just a huge dork.
Yeah, it's like when you're, because like the library is one of those split up and talk to everybody, and you go to talk to Albert and he's just like, yeah, I've been reading this thing about the economics of Mill Seesaw and it's fascinating. And he's like, can you focus, Albert? He's like, oh yeah, I also saw this thing about the Dragon campaign, but trust me on the economics thing, it's really really cool.
Dark's literally like, dude, you're supposed to be researching about the Dragon campaign. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah. Here's something I just remembered. I love when you're reading about the Dragon campaign, and this is after Rose leaves for no reason, and everyone's like, man, it sure would be nice if we could just ask Rose to explain the plot to us instead of having to go to a library and figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
Someone basically says that.
Another thing from back then is but the bishop, not the librarian, because you talk to a bunch of old men and they all sound like Christian Bale's Batman in the FMVs. But,
yeah, they do.
So the bishop tells you about the divine tree, and Dark goes, divine tree, I've never heard of it. And I was just like, you grew up in Neat, in Mill Seesaw, and every time we've gone to Neat in a flashback, there are divine tree like paintings on every fucking door. How did you never hear about it?
Maybe it's PTSD.
Maybe so.
I mean, my thought
or
was,
he's just stupid.
Yeah,
he's
Dark,
really just
Dark
stupid.
just never paid attention in school or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we've all like not paid attention in Sunday school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. But yeah, that's all I really have for the week. Anybody else have anything?
I've got one or two more, but you like to go first.
Oh no, I'm everything that I had has been said.
Okay, well then one more I have is I really like I like just how flip everyone is about the whole Wingley thing. Like I think that she's wrong and dumb, but like Meru does not seem to understand how big a deal like outing the existence of a Wingley city to the world is. It's like, that's a really, really big deal. Your civilization has literally been secluded for thousands of years, and they believe that it's necessary for their own survival. And Meru, Sam, you said it earlier, but you didn't get it quite right. Earlier, they were like, we really could use the Dragon Buster and or the Dragon Blockstaff. And the Dragon Buster, you know, Lloyd has it. And Meru says something like, yeah, and the Dragon Blockstaff is, or she was like, no, I think no one had mentioned the Dragon Blockstaff. Point is, she's like, yeah, we can't get the Dragon Blockstaff either. And then she literally says, ignore what I just said.
Yeah.
Because she said something that she would clearly only know if she was a Wingley, right?
Yeah.
And then she just says it, and then she's like, forget I said anything just now, guys.
Yeah.
And they do, like, no one even comments on it, because they're like, okay. And then one scene later, she's like, hey, we should go to the Wingley City and get the Dragon Blockstaff. By the way, I'm a Wingley. And I'm like, you just casually dropping that. Like, she's just like, oh, you know what? I guess we need that thing. So, like, whatever. I'm like, Meru, you need to think a lot more about the consequences of your actions.
She's 15. What do you expect?
So dumb.
I feel in the, like, the anime version of this, where we could actually get, like, more introspection and see, like, facial things. I feel she might have been, like, the world is going to end if we don't stop the thing, so I have to do this. So I'm going to say it, but keep it in my Meru happy times. Like, I feel her, like, I can see her coming to this conclusion, but as it is in game, it's just like, let's just go out this whole magic-y thing. I trust you guys.
To me, given her personality, I feel like it's more just like, oh, we need the block staff? All right, well, hey, guess what, guys? I have a solution to this problem. But at any rate, and my final thing is, when the dragon, whatever, the big dragon is attacking, and the guards are like, we can't really stop it, we don't believe in it. But then after they say they do, they're basically like, well, we're guards, and when the dragon attacks, there's going to be a lot of unrest. So we need to keep the peace in this city when the dragon attacks and keep everyone calm. Which means if we're doing that, we can't fight the dragon. Y'all just fight the dragon. I'm like, wait, so y'all aren't knights, y'all are cops. Literally, if you're not fighting the dragon, you're literally not a knight. You are definitely
just a cop.
A police officer, and we are the knights. Don't call yourself a knight. You know, I'll go ahead and be generous and say y'all are maybe they have a robust community policing program. So maybe it's they're not cops per se. I don't know. I haven't seen them eating a donut yet. Or also, this game only has so far. There's not more than one race in a town, so I haven't seen how that plays out.
Well, no, that's not necessarily true. There's a Tiburoan freezing his ass off when you first go into.
Oh yeah, I love that guy. He's just dancing
I also
around.
like that they have a place that's literally called Leningrad, and it is icy and has a big, famous, beautiful ice palace, which is true of Leningrad as well.
Yeah.
I've been there. It's beautiful and amazing and has a very famous palace. Not a crystal palace, sadly. And also, it's weird, though, because real Leningrad, St. Petersburg, is like Venice. It's the Venice of the north. It is built on a swamp, and has a lot of canals, and you can ride little boats around. Like, it's like Venice. So
like
it's funny. It's funny that you just went to Venice, and then you go to fantasy St. Petersburg, but they didn't make that be Venice. It's like, have you ever been to Leningrad? Or are you just calling it that because it's cold? Which is obviously why they called it that. But it's just funny. Oh, also, the music for Leningrad, I actually like it a lot, and this is a bit of a stretch, so I don't know if it's true, but it does sound kind of like the Soviet national anthem.
I could see it.
Like, a little
I was trying to place where I'd heard that, because I took Russian classes when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
The Soviet national anthem whips.
It's good. I was like, I recognize this song from somewhere. I couldn't think of
wasn't the Soviet national anthem your ringtone in college, Maddie?
Maybe.
It was somebody I was friends with.
That's something I would do, but I've never ever had a ringtone. My phone's always on silent, so I don't think I would have done that. But
it was somebody.
The best thing about the Russian national anthem is not the song itself, though it is quite a good song. It's that in classic Russian fashion, they believe that the only, and when I say they believe, I'm being flip, of course. But the Soviets believe that the only proper way to play the Soviet national anthem is with at least 300 musicians. So every recording of it is like the hugest, most extra thing you've ever heard, and it's so fucking loud, and like you can tell, like regardless of the volume of your sound system, you can tell that choir clearly has like 100 people in it. Like,
whereas over here for sporting events, we have one person sing it.
One person singing it and trying to be extra enough to replicate the fact that there are not 100 different choir members going, You
know what? I sang the national anthem at a couple of hockey games when I was in high school for the Nailers in Wheeling. And nice. I did it as though I was someone who was taking voice lessons, which I was. So I wasn't trying to be extra about it. I was just trying to do it well enough that it didn't sound bad.
Well, good. I'm sure it sounded great.
Because you didn't shoot for the moon and end up as a Fergie.
While we're on this topic, extremely brief little tip. I don't know if you'll ever notice this about the national anthem. You know how everyone goes all wild when they go to the high note at the end?
Uh-huh.
They hit that same note earlier in the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It only feels like the high note because you play it up as being the high note. And I'm like, you're hooting and hollering, and you're like, look, everyone, I'm hitting the high note. And I'm like, no, you already
hit that note.
That already happened. We already know you can hit the high note. It happened earlier.
Yeah.
It's not the high note.
I love it.
It's so annoying.
So
our national anthem.
one final Legend of Dragoon related aside, but back shortly after you came out on the podcast, Maddie, you got gussied up and took a picture and you shared it on the Discord, and you looked like a person from Milsiso. Like that was your aesthetic, and I wanted to make that joke then, but we were 3 discs too early.
Wait, was that when I called myself like Aerith's mom aesthetic or something like that?
Something like that. But
I was like it's your girl like someone's mom NPC in a JRPG serving up realness or something like that. Oh yeah, that was a good look. I've done that look a few times.
Yeah, it was a good look. But yeah, that about does it for this week. If you like what we do here. Oh wait, actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm instead going to tell you what we're going to play next. That's what I was going to do.
Excitement.
So we're going to sell out. That's what we're going to do. We don't like doing these cult classic games anymore, and we don't want people to just trust us that they're good. We want everyone to think that we're important. And also, if we only play cult classic games, me and Eli will never actually get to play real RPGs because his last RPG before the podcast was Final Fantasy VI. Mine was Wild Arms 3, but I also got there by way of skipping Final Fantasy 7 and 10 and 12 and Skies of Arcadia and all of these other like you gotta play it sort of things, which Skies of Arcadia is a really bad pull for that, but you know what I mean. But all these sorts of like you gotta play it type big ass games, and I didn't play any of them. Yeah, the canon, as it were. And so if we only play these cult classics, me and Eli will never get to play Final Fantasy X. So we're going to play Final Fantasy X. That's what we're doing. And
for all y'all out there who haven't played it, get excited. It's fantastic. For all of y'all who have played it, play it again, please. It's a great. I think it is one of the most subtly brilliant games in the Final Fantasy series. A lot of people, I think, overlook it. It was really popular at the time, but nowadays I think people overlook it. It is a brilliant video game. I have the utmost respect for the people who made it. It does so many things that are actually revolutionary in the genre, but you don't realize it's revolutionary because it just feels regular. It just feels like good game design. Anyway, it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, and normally we offer up a vote to see what our next game is, but us doing this one allows us to have an extended voting shenanigans for the best of the rest that we do every year, because it is in 27 days we will have been doing this for a year.
Holy shit.
We will not quite be done with Legend of Dragoon at the time, unfortunately, but so when we finish out the year, we want to then do a best game of the last year that we didn't get to play. And so it's like the ones we get to choose from are Okage Shadow King.
Hell yeah.
And Magic Knight Rayearth.
Hell yeah.
Dragon Quest V.
Hell yeah.
And Shining Force. So it's a real good one to choose from all of that. Pick Dragon Quest. But so you get a vote on those, and it's going to be like super extra and be like a double elimination tournament, because why the fuck not? And I know that double elimination tournaments will probably end up being uninteresting in the end and just make you vote more, but whatever. I can do that.
It's a shame this can't be in March, so it can be March Madness.
Yeah.
Fill out your bracket.
Well, by the time we finish, we'll be really close to March, because there's about 11 or 12 episodes of Final Fantasy X. So
yeah, that's true.
Calling it now, it'll be the March Madness. Yeah, so we'll open up those when we start playing Final Fantasy, and by the time we get to the end of Final Fantasy, we will know what we'll be playing next. But that will be soonish. Surprisingly soonish, because we're close to the end of this game, but there's still 3-4 episodes.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
At least 4.
This thing says 5 episodes. So yeah, we got a ways to go before it happens, but wanted to announce it now so that I can not feel bad by The Discord is known. We're playing Final Fantasy since like October. So
well, also it's good to say ahead of time because people do need to like acquire the game. So just so you know, it's very easy to acquire this game.
It's on
in many
everything.
Forms.
I'll be able to Let's Play it because it's on the PS4.
Yeah.
So the OG version is great. Nothing wrong with it. Probably can get it really cheap. But the problem is the HD remakes at this point you can also get really cheap.
Yeah.
Back in the day they would do that thing where a game would come out in Japan. And then it would come out in America. And in America, they would have a little bit of extra time to work on it, so it would have some extra features. But then the Japanese gamers are like, well, why don't we get those features? So they would re-release the game in Japan as kind of like a director's cut, but with even more features. And that was often called the International Edition. That happened with a lot of games in this period. FF10's International Edition had a lot of new shit, like in-game super secret final bosses, a different sphere grid. So the HD version is that version. So honestly, you really should spring for the HD version if at all possible.
And you get both Final Fantasy X games for like $15 in the it was what I paid on Steam for in this winter sale, which is over today I won't edit this in time for you to take me up on this, but the winter sale on Steam had it down for like $15 and you got 2 games. Meanwhile, it's like $7 for the original PS2 version, so it's like practically the same price.
Sam, as soon as we're finished recording this, you should go ahead and make an announcement. That way some people maybe could spring for it.
Yeah, I'll do it on the Discord and our Twitter.
Yeah. And I do think that some versions of the game don't include Tin 2. Like, I think on the Vita, they're sold separately, which is stupid.
Nope, they're not. They're together. I have it. I don't have it on the Vita. I had it. Excuse me. I had it on my PS TV because it wasn't wiped when I bought it.
Gotcha.
But
gotcha.
It was one download.
Cool. Anyway, so it's just it shouldn't be hard for you to acquire this video game. So do it.
Do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited. Eli gets to play a modern Final Fantasy and understand when we talk about modern Final Fantasies, except this one isn't very like the other modern Final Fantasies.
I played Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, it is funny to say that modern Final Fantasy as if it's some kind of established thing, because starting with Final Fantasy 8 or 9, and especially 10, Final Fantasy's the recurring motif of Final Fantasy is that there is no recurring motif, and that it radically reinvents its design every single fucking game.
Yeah.
So,
but modern Final Fantasy, I put in quotes, and I mean 7, 8, and 9. And those are 20 years old now, so I can't really say.
Final Fantasy 14 is kind of fan service, the game.
Oh my god, y'all. Final Fantasy X, I just realized it's almost 20 fucking years old.
Yeah.
We're old.
We're old as hell.
Fuck.
But, that'll wrap us up for the week. And if you like what we do here, let us know. You can reach us at rpgbookclub@gmail.com. We still have not had a single listener send in email. So if you want to just send one that says first, you can do it. It's fine.
I think it's actually. I found that Twitter interaction and Discord interaction and stuff is usually what people do when they like something. From listening to other podcasts, I've learned that emails is what people do when they're not like something and they're upset. They send an angry email. No one's going to send an angry Discord message. So the fact that I got no emails maybe is a good thing.
Maybe. But I still want someone to send me something long form for me to read on the podcast. It would be great.
That would be cool.
All I get right now is your credit card bounced for your hosting payment. I was like, crap. That's all I get. But if you want to reach us, we also have a Twitter at RPG Book Club and our Discord, whose link is in the description. And if you really, really like what we do here, you can donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. We're starting to get a whole lot of cool ideas on what to do for shortcast and longcast, which are our goals. So reaching those would be really cool, because then we don't have to just be like, oh, we'll save this for a thing that we don't know will ever happen, and we can just start doing those cool ideas.
Yeah.
But we also have a merch store if you want to hold a physical thing that I made, and you can get that at shop@spreadshirt.com/rpgbookclub. We have 2 shirts up. I'm probably going to put up some Legend of Dragoon funny ones pretty soon. But next week we will play part 2 of chapter 3. I think we can make it to the disc change, but if we don't, we're going to stop on our way to Vellweb. So if you...
What do you mean Delweb?
but yeah, we head off to Vellweb, and that's when we might stop, but it feels pretty light before that. So we might just finish out the disc. We'll
keep
see.
you updated.
Yeah, because it'll be, if we finish out the disc, we'll have 4 more episodes. If we don't finish out the disc, we have 5 more episodes, and I made it all work already. I already did all the math, but yeah, Vellweb and or the end of the disc.
Let's just play the rest of the game, have one really shitty episode, and then play Final Fantasy X.
We still shoot to be under an hour for our discussion part.
Yeah,
so we're
exactly.
Just like, here's an hour sum up of the entire rest of the game. But, yeah, so for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias, Sailor Eli, Warren.
And I'm Maddie Webben.
And you guys have a great day.
Happy New Year!
I don't like stubborn old guys because I want to be an adorable old guy.
Yes.